Hey guys, welcome to another puppy vlog, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about something very important. Whether or not you have an 8-week-old puppy, a 12-month-old puppy, because to me all dogs are puppies, you need to be teaching your dogs these 5 things that will undoubtedly save their life one day. First things first, we're going to start with your front door, or whatever door you go in and out of your house frequently. From the very beginning, I want you to start working on teaching your dog or your puppy, again regardless of their age, to not ever go out that door unless you give them a release command. What I like to use with my dogs is at ease, or you could use free. The easiest way to teach this is just not to allow them to come out until you release them. You can do that by standing here to be a little bit of a barrier. You can shut the door if they try to come out, and when they're sitting calmly and they're looking at you, right now we're waiting for him to give me eye contact so he doesn't just bolt out. Up, up. Up, up. Up, up. Wallace, sit. Good boy. Yes. Free. At ease. Good boy. And I want you to practice that every single day. You don't allow them to go outside of the door unless you release them. You need to make that part of your daily routine. The next one is the place command, and it's very similar to the front one. So what you want to do is be able to tell your dog, Wally, come here. Up, up. Okay, Wallace, place. Yes, good boy. You want to be able to teach your dog that when you put a mat down or a towel down or even their dog bed and you give them the PLACE command, that they go there and they stay there. So let's say you have a package being delivered. Instead of worrying about your dog barking and charging out the door, you can put them on a PLACE command. Because when you're on this, the rules are you have to have at least 3 paws on. You can stand, you can sit, you can lay down, but you cannot bark or get off until you're released. The way that you teach this is free. Come here. Is you find a mat or a towel or a bed, you walk towards it. You can do this inside your house if you want. I'm doing it outside because of higher distraction and he already knows the command, so I'm leveling it up. But if you do it indoors, you don't necessarily need a leash. And you walk near the mat. Yes, good boy. And when they go on it on their own, you reward with toys, treats, or plays. The longer they stay on it, the more you continue to reward them with toys, treats, or praise. You need to make this mat the most fun thing in your entire house. That anytime they go on it, even if you don't ask, especially if you don't ask, they're getting some kind of reward that means something to them. And then eventually you can start walking away, and if they stay on it, yes, good boy, you do not reward until you come back to the mat, and you come back. So you can give the YES command, right? The marker word YES. So verbally I'm telling him he's doing a good job. There's people walking down the street. There's cars. You guys can probably hear it. I'll try to edit out the cars driving by. Oh gosh, as I'm falling, there's a lot of distraction, different smells because we're outside. Yes, good boy. And I'm going to continue rewarding that. I'll walk around the mat. Again, you guys can do this inside. Yes, good boy. And they can move. You just can't bark or jump up. And then when you want to release them, you guys always ask me, how do I teach them the free command or the at ease command? Basically, all you do is you give the command while you're, this is key, while you're standing next to the placemat. I see too many people releasing their dog from over here. I want Wally to know that I'm never going to release him from this until I come back to him. So what I do is I give him the command, free. Okay, pop, 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 pop. Good job, yes. And I give him the marker word when he comes off, but I don't give a treat. I still reward him with the verbal marker word YES, but again, I don't give him the treat. And that's because I want the biggest reward, the biggest value to be being on the mat. And you see where he went back automatically without me asking. I never asked him to go on it. So if he goes on it on his own, he can get off on his own. If I ask him to go on it, then that's when I have to give him the free command, free, which you didn't really need it. Come up, 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 up. See how he wants to be on it? Now, I'm gonna kind of let him lead and see what he does. Yes, good job. Good place. There you go. This is going to come in handy, especially if something's happening. You have some people coming in the house, I don't know, a surprise party, and you want to control your dog and the crates in the other room. You can quickly ask for PLACE. They know to go there. They know to stay there until you can make the situation safer. Yes, you can free. I don't know if I freed you, but we're just going to say you did. Now, for this next one, this is absolutely probably the most important one that you need to start teaching. It's also the one that takes many dogs a lot longer, and we're still working on it with Wally, and he's only a little over 5 months old. And I will have a mat like this that I really like linked down below. So all my favorite pet products actually are linked down below as well as merch. So for this next one, this is the leave it command. Now, this is the most important one you can teach, period, if I had to pick one, because if you ever drop anything on the floor on accident that could potentially be toxic to your dog, and you'd be surprised, it could be a house cleaner, it could be a laundry detergent little ball. I've seen that being a big issue. Batteries, obviously food, any kind of cooked bones. You need to be able to say the leave it command and be confidently confident, that's silly, but you need to be confident that your dog will not eat whatever it is until you can get to it and remove it. So the best way to teach this is first off to work on it every single day. You want to get one kind of treat that is good but not super exciting. Right here, it's just like a little cookie treat I got for free from a brand. I won't say the brand because I don't love it because there's a little bit more carbs in it than I like. It's not bad, it's just not my favorite. But then I have a super yummy treat here. Oh, the focus is off because the lighting. This is Canine Natural Dehydrated Freeze Green Lamb Tripe. Again, I have this link down below for you as well. And all I do is in my left hand, I have the, come over here, Wallace, can you place? There's somebody driving up. So I love doing all of these commands and working on any basic cue and command outside on the front yard, even for a puppy before their shots, because if you're in the front yard, there's no other dogs here, so I don't have to worry about that. But I love all the distractions. So I take the, let me put the camera angle down. I take the not as exciting treat here and I put it in my hand to start, and I put it here and I just say, and I don't say, and I put it here and I don't say anything. As soon as he ignores it or stops going at it on his own is when I reward. There's no commands here given. I have my thumb over the treat so he cannot get it. It is critical that he does not get the treat, and this could take a while. So we've only started working on this recently. I know I need to do more what I preach, but you know, it is what it is. We're all human, we're all learning together. And I'm waiting for him to ignore it. I don't care if this takes me 5 hours. It won't, but yes, good boy. As soon as he looked away, I rewarded and I gave him the yummier treat, right? So this could be freeze-dried or dehydrated beef lung or freeze-dried green lamb tripe like I have here. So I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna put the treat here that's not so yummy. I'm gonna wait for him to, yes, good job. So I was a little slow, but you saw how he looked away from it. That split second, I'm gonna give the marker word why yes, and then good boy, and then give him the treat to follow. So I put the not, yes, good boy. So you see how quickly he learned that? Oh my goodness. So again, I'm using the not so good treat here because I wanna make sure that the reward that he gets for ignoring a treat is better than what he's ignoring, if that makes sense. Ooh, I had to be quick there. Can't let him get it. Yes, good boy. And you also notice, and I need to do a better job of this, is I'm rewarding him with a better treat away from this treat. I don't ever want him to kind of get confused that he's gonna ever get this treat. The key here is that he never gets this treat. He will never get this treat, and that is why I'm using 2 different treats, because if I use 2 of the same yummy treats, it's gonna be hard for him to discern being able to get one treat and not being able to get another treat. I wanna keep it black and white for dogs. So I'm gonna put this one here. Yes, good boy. As soon as he pulled away, I gave a reward with the marker word. You notice I've not given the command or the cue yet, right? We're just working on the behavior. I wouldn't even give the command or cue until at least after the first or second day of working on this. Over time, you can progress to putting the treat on the floor. I would recommend waiting several weeks before you do that, because the key again is you don't want to let the dog get the treat. That will put them back days and days and weeks on progress. At least that's the experience I had. So you want to stay in control over the not so yummy treat as much as possible. And then when you are ready to put a command to it, this is kind of what it would look like. Okay, Wallace, leave it. Yes, good boy. So you see I'm kind of rewarding him away from it. Okay. Leave it. Yes, good boy. Good job. And you don't always have to reward with treats too. You can have the reward be praise. You can have the reward be toys. You can keep it a variety. Sometimes I might get 2 treats. Sometimes I might get 3. Sometimes I might get 1. Sometimes I may just get verbal. Keeping it random keeps your dog thinking and keeps them engaged with you. Getting your dog's attention is one of the best things you can do to help with any training or behavior issues or desires that you have with your dog. Because when you are the most exciting thing to your dog and you have their undivided attention, the possibilities are endless. And the best and easiest and fastest way in my experience to get their attention is to work with them and to give them positive reinforcement for doing the things that you want them to do with treats, play, or praise. It's why I love the shirt I have linked down below. It says Team No Dog Bowls. The reason I love that shirt is because I want to get people away from just putting a dog's meal in a dog bowl and setting it down for them to eat every single day. It's not a horrible thing to do that. I've done that before. Sometimes if I get super lazy, I will, but I love the idea of at least every single day working with your dog during mealtime, especially puppies. They eat 3 to 4 times a day. Take 5 to 10 minutes of each feeding session and work with them on basic leave it commands, basic sit down, recall, leash training, all of that you can do inside your home, and you can start now. It's part of what I call proactive puppy training. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about that a lot with my one-step potty training, my crate training that we crate trained Wally in before he was 10 and a half weeks old. And we did that by doing proactive training approaches, all of which I have all linked down below on how you guys can do that. Now I want to talk a little bit more about another life-saving command, and that is the sense of recall. I am going to show you how we're working on the HERE command with Wally in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about my favorite command to teach all dogs, or at least the most fun, and that is the TOUCH command or cue. And that's essentially where, Wallace, can you touch? You can free. Yes, good boy. I have the place command out, so he's confused. Can you touch? Yes, and that is where the dog, you ask for the TOUCH, or I've had a viewer actually say that they use boop, like BOOP, which I think is cute, where you use that command and they have to put their nose to your hand no matter where you're at. Let's say I'm over here and I'm walking Wally and then he gets off leash and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a car coming, there's a biker, what do I do? Wallace, touch. Yes, and I say it with vigor, I say it with intention, and then he comes in here. I'm a little late in my reward, but you did so good, I'm so proud. So you can use it as a form of recall, and I've worked on this so many times with all of the rescue dogs that I have fostered and helped find new homes and train, that I've learned that dogs love it because there's instant gratification. They get that instant their nose, not that hard, but they get their instant nose touching your hand, and there's something positive out of that other than just calling their name away from something. Like if they're running, if they got away from you, like if they got away from you on leash and they're chasing a squirrel, it's one thing to call their name and have them come back to you. That's fun, that's exciting, and you could absolutely train that. But if they know on the end of that, they kind of get their nose to your hand, they get that instant gratification, they get that contact with you, that attention, that is going to be a lot more motivating for many dogs, at least in my experience. And the way that you teach it is so simple. So all you do is you put your hand very close to their nose, you say nothing, you do nothing, and you wait for their nose to go to your hand. Yes, and as soon as they do, you mark with the marker word YES, and then you follow that immediately. I'm too slow there. With a treat, do it again. Yes, good boy, and you should have treats ready. I'm not, but you know what it is? It is what it is. I'm human. I'm showing you real life what this is like. You do that over and over again. Once they are able to put their nose to your hand without you saying anything, without you encouraging them, and you may have to wait there for a little bit. Yes, good boy. Then you can start putting a command to it, like TOUCH or boop or whatever you want to call it. Wallace, can you touch? Yes, good job. As soon as their nose touches your hand, you better go with a very intentional YES and then follow that immediately with a treat. I've been a little slow, so don't do as I do as I say. Good job. Can you touch? It's also a great way to distract them from something else that could be dangerous. For example, right over there is somebody walking their dog. You saw Wallace kind of gruff a little bit and kind of go, like he wanted to quickly go bark at that dog, and maybe that dog isn't so friendly. If I want to get his attention on me, I ask him for that command. Can you touch? Yes, you saw me do that real time. So that's really helpful. Wallace, touch? Yes, good boy. You see that? Good job. This is real life. Oh, uh-oh, there's a dog. Touch? Yes, good boy. Can you touch? Yes. Can you touch? Yes. You sit. So right now, there's somebody across the street making him nervous. Good boy. Touch. Yes. Sit. Yes. So you see what I'm doing is I'm working with him while there's somebody over there. He's not super agitated. Normally I would get up and move away because when your dog is barking at another dog, they're pulling on leash, etc. You want to do a 180 and turn. Wallace, over here. But I'm able to get his attention, so we're just working, I'm staying calm. Yes, and when he offers him to look at me, I give a reward YES. That was a quick real life example of what could happen if your dog is barking at something else, maybe they're wanting to run at it. You can ask them, you saw how the TOUCH worked. You could tell he was very interested in that other person. He wanted to go check it out, was maybe a little nervous, but instead I got him to focus on me. That attention got him to where he stopped barking, he wasn't pulling at the leash, so that is why this stuff is so critical. And again, if you drop something on the floor and you forget to say leave it, or maybe you haven't worked on leave it, but you did work on touch, you could ask them for a TOUCH. Wallace, can you touch? Yes, to pull them away from, let's say you drop medicine on the floor you don't want them to get to, then that's one way you could use it to save their life. Also, let's talk a little bit about recall. So recall is very similar in its ability, but it's really important to work on. Now, the way that I recommend you do this is with 2 people. I'm by myself today, so I can't show you how that looks with 2 people. It's really simple. I recommend to start indoors, and I recommend starting this early. You could start literally at 9 weeks old, 10 weeks old. A lot of times I talk about working with your puppy right away. I want to make it something very clear. I'm not saying you need to have a fully trained dog by the time they're 12 weeks old. I'm saying you can start working on, for 2 to 5 minutes at a time, a couple times a day, 3 times a day at most, with a young puppy on working on these basic cues and commands. I've fostered dozens of rescue dogs, most of which were puppies, most of which were young. And I'll be honest, in the beginning I used to think, wow, there's no way I can work with this 9-week-old puppy. They're too young. They just need to sleep and be cuddled. And that's not entirely true in my experience. They do sleep a lot, so you want to keep durations short, keep it positive, just have fun with it, make them like little games. I do have linked up here brain games you can do with puppies. That's a lot of fun, but working with them from day 1 is going to set them up for success for lifelong. So working on recall is very simple. You work indoors. You can do it with or without a partner. It's easier with a partner. I love if you have a hallway or like a long living room. Each of you stand on either end of the hallway, for example, or either end of the living room. Each has some toys or treats with you. The dog starts with one person and the other person calls the puppy. Now you don't use their name and you don't use the command, which most people's can be here. So you can use things like puppy, puppy, puppy. You can pound the floor. You can just use noises, kissy noises, whistle noises, whatever you want to do, but just don't use their name because we don't want to dilute it, and don't use the command yet because we're not ready to train that and we don't want to dilute that either. We only want to use their commands when we're going to use it once, and we want to use the commands with intention. So one person stands at one end of the hallway and the other person just goes, okay, come on, up, 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 up. As soon as they get to you, you go YES, yes, and you automatically reward them with a treat, toys, or praise, and you go back and forth. You start close together and slowly moving back and forth. Obviously, this isn't critical to saving your dog's life because you never know if they accidentally get loose and they're running towards something dangerous. You want to be able to recall them. And once you teach them the touch command and the hear command, man, if you work on that really, really well and your dog gets off leash and they're running towards a busy street, you better believe that, let's say you call them here, like Wallace, here, and they don't quite come, you can go, okay, touch. Yes, so you have a backup, and that is so important because you just never know. Here you go, I'm so slow in treats today. You just never know when you're gonna be in that situation, so these things you need to do now. And here's the bonus, guys. The bonus is, this isn't just teaching your puppy to do these things in the event of a crisis or an emergency. You're doing these things to also, in addition, bond with your dog, because working with your dog is bonding with your dog, so you're building a trust and confidence between each other. You're also mentally stimulating. You guys know I'm a massive advocate of working your dog's brain every single day. Yes, even puppies. I have all linked down below, brain games for both puppies and adult dogs. And the reason this is important is because dogs, even puppies, need a job. They need the mental stimulation to have enrichment in their life. Mental stimulation will tire a dog far faster and far more effectively than physical stimulation any time of the day. In fact, if you can pair the both, some physical exercise and mental exercise, man, you are going to have a happy, well-adjusted, confident dog. And I have videos linked down below and run right here on proper ways, in my experience and opinion, that I would exercise a puppy, because you do want to be careful with that. They do need exercise, physical exercise, but there are some right ways and wrong ways to do it from my experience. And I want to make sure that you guys also remember that when you are asking for commands, a few bonus tips is you don't want to repeat the command. You want to ask it once and wait for it. And the other quick bonus is to make sure that you guys are working every single day on reinforcing the YES marker command. So what I mean by that is, you guys hear me a lot say yes, and that is my reinforcer, my verbal reinforcer to the dog or the puppy that what they're doing is accurate. And you can practice that without putting any cue or command along with it. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're just hanging out watching Netflix and your dog's right there with you and you have some treats around. You can just, when they look at you, eye contact, yes. You can just YES and follow it with a treat right away, or a toy if they're more toy motivated. Yes. Yes. Yes, and what I'm doing there is I'm putting currency or I'm putting value behind that YES command. You also hear how I say it. I'm not just like, yes, yeah, good. No, I'm like, yes. You want to say your commands and what you're asking them, especially if you're rewarding them with that YES command, with intention, with meaning, so that they feel it. You want them to feel it. I'm not yelling, I'm not being stern. Yes, good boy. I'm saying it with intention so that they believe it and they feel it with intention. And so you want to work on continue reinforcing that. That's why with my dogs, when I say that YES command, I don't even have to give them a treat for them to feel the goodness from it. Because there's going to be times out there in life where you're going to need to reinforce what your dog is doing, and you don't always want to have to reward it with a treat. So the pro tip with that is you can randomly follow the YES command with a treat, and not always. Sometimes you could give 0 treats, sometimes you could get 5, like a jackpot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, instead of a whole handful, because dogs think of things in currency. So 5 little treats versus 1 big palm of treat means more to the dog. But I don't want to have to rely on food or treats to get my dog to do something. So if I have a verbal way to praise or reward my dog, which is the YES command, it's a really good way to reinforce what we're working on. Now, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about leash training, things to do, things not to do, especially for dogs that are pulling on a leash. Click the video right here and I'll jump over there with you together. Or if you want to learn more about what I love in terms of chews for puppies, toys, food, click the video right here and I'll jump over that and we'll go into more depth on that together. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.